Hey there, everybody out there in quarantine land. I'm Matt Taranto. This is Kathy Taranto, the good-looking one. And we're here just to talk to you some more. We're doing this twice a week, kind of do a little education on aesthetic stuff. And, we've all, it's been 3.5 weeks now since we've been closed.
I know, yes.
Yeah, it's going by and kind of slowly. We're just so excited to get back to a sense of normalcy. But, we know everybody's in this together, and we're all kind of doing what we can. We're really impressed. If you've heard, if you ever want to go to our website and nominate a frontline responder, nurses and doctors and firemen, and we had somebody nominate their mother who works 40 hours a week at a grocery store, another 20 hours a week at another store that are both essential. And we thought we were going to pick a winner every week, but we've gotten so many good submissions that we're picking multiple winners every week to get treatments. And from some of our partners like Elisa Renee and Steve Bernstein and Mission Farms that are giving these first line responders something as a way to say thank you. So if you go to greatskinkc.com on our homepage, you can nominate a frontline responder, and every week we're picking multiple winners.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that always makes me feel just grateful for where I am, if you're ever feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so hard and what am I going to do, is just contrast it with someone else's life or situation. And I think that's really happened to us. I mean, as we read through all of these nominations and all the stories that are being told, and it's just amazing what people are doing out there, what they're going through, and it just makes me feel so grateful to be healthy and have a healthy team and healthy family. So we want to help however we can.
Yeah, and there are silver linings. There are silver linings.
Yeah,
We are, I'm sure, like you at home, we're finding new ways to entertain. Our son is immersed in elaborate Lego projects.
I love it.
We're doing a lot of home cooking. We usually eat out at lunch. We're bringing our lunch. It's just different. But some things we're kind of finding are good.
Yeah.
I spend about 23.75 hours a day with this woman, and
we're
sometimes
still
she's
at
like,
each other.
"Get back, go, get away."
We're still smiling.
I know, it's good. So today we want to talk to you about tissue tightening, skin tightening, and it's gotten to be very popular non-surgical skin tightening. So years and years ago, the only way you're going to ever get tissue tightening in your face was facelift. And same with your abdomen, a tummy tuck. But through science and technology, we've found that causing a thermal injury to the skin will result in a higher production of collagen and a contraction of the tissue. And where it really hit in the 90s was when CO2 laser resurfacing came out. And it was incredible, the results. But what was the downside?
Oh my gosh, the downtime. It was so awful.
Crazy downtime and complications.
But you had to stay home for weeks, not days, but weeks. And then you were red for months. And so, while there were so many, I think there was a survey that was done years ago and they asked 100 women, did you like your results? And they pretty much all said yes, but they said, would you do it again? And they all said no. Yeah. And so, it's just, we still do some of types treatments kind of similar to that, but the technology has come so far and we have so many options now.
And CO2 really, and there's fractional CO2 out there now that's a little bit less, downtime. But people they loved the results, but man, hated the pain and downtime. Then a new laser came out called erbium. And if you look at the top kind of laser guys in the country, the Jay Burns, the Jason Posners, who do a lot of laser resurfacing, they switched to the erbium. And I will tell you, and I think Kathy might agree, it still is the best way to totally transfer skin.
It is.
Transform skin.
For sure. You just have to have, that week of looking
you
awful.
You have a week or two where it looks rough, but it's not going to be months like CO2.
Right. And normally the conversation, because we have that laser also, is, if the worse you look this week, the better your outcome. And so, your husband, your family members, they all need to be aware of what you're going to do, because you really do look awful with that treatment, but the results are unbelievable. And it's this one-time treatment that yields an amazing results. But, it's hard for people to take off work generally. It's hard
for that amount of time.
Yeah, or for, if you have grandkids, you don't want to scare your grandkids. There's so many things that come into play with that treatment that just not as many people will do.
Yeah, so those were, and still, erbium resurfacing, we love it when people do it, but not many people want to do it. So then what happened in the early 2000s is really the first non-invasive tissue tightening device out there was Thermage, which you probably remember well. And we used to have Thermage. And the thing with Thermage is there's a lot of excitement about it, got very popular. And it could give some decent results, but there were some issues. I mean, it was very painful, very painful, and a very slow treatment. And so that kind of fell out of favor. But then some other things now have come out that are better, and they don't hurt as much. And so we thought today we'd talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, and I think procedure-wise, the two top questions that we get with almost anything is, does it hurt, and is there downtime?
Yes.
And so, just kind of looking back at that older technology, that was probably where a lot of those some of those questions come from. But now we have so many other options that we can turn to.
Yeah. So what happened also in the 2000s is radio frequency started to become popular. So for years in the 90s and early 2000s, it was all lasers and light. And then radio frequency, it's just an energy level that can develop heat, that can deposit heat, and it can do it safely. And so radio frequency came out, and then some other things, light-based technologies instead of laser, like we'll talk a little bit about skin tight 2, and then some plasma technologies are out. Highly focused ultrasound has come out. So these are all different energies that we can deposit in the skin that, with little or no downtime, will cause this long-term tightening of the tissue. And we're talking face, neck, chest, abdomen, areas around your elbow. I mean, we can do tissue tightening just about anywhere.
Yeah, we can. I think, just to kind of address the downside to some of these technologies is that, it's not just one treatment. And so people, setting expectations up correctly with our clients is so important. We're really thorough in the consultation to talk about how many treatments, how often do you have to do it, what type of results can you expect, because depending on the technology you use, which creates a different type of injury in the skin, you get a different type of result, right? I mean, so it's important to address that, I think, especially with skin tightening, because when as a laser technician or with providers when they're doing treatments, a lot of the laser technology that we use, you get to a clinical endpoint, meaning you see something happen in the skin, which means you're going to get a result.
Right.
And with some of these treatments, you don't necessarily see something really specific. You're trying to get to a certain temperature on the surface, knowing that if you do that on the surface, it changes below in the dermis. So anyway, I think that's probably the number one. Other than does it hurt and is there downtime? The other question is well, does it work?
Does it work?
Yeah, am I going to get a result with it?
And what you said, and the thing that we try to be very realistic about is setting the expectation, because this is not a facelift. If somebody comes in, they've got huge jowls, and they say, I want these here, we're going to refer them to one of our plastic surgeons that we work with, because the only thing that's going to do that is a facelift.
Yeah, and so I want to say hi to everybody joining the live video, and we just got a question about that fits with this. So, so talking about the neck, what is the most effective treatment or treatments for the neck?
Well, before we just move on to finish that thought, is we like to use exercise as an analogy for what we do, and you don't go to the gym, work out super hard for a week, and see immediate results. It's that concerted effort. So with tissue tightening, non-invasive tissue tightening, your best results will normally happen 3 to 6 months after you're done with your series. So, and that's why we're good with photography, and we're going to make sure we're realistic. But,
So maybe we should just jump in and talk about the different technology individually, and then kind of answer some of those questions.
Yeah, no, and actually that question is good for this technology, because what came out, and it probably came out, I would say maybe a dozen years ago, was a device called Ulthera, which we have. Now, Ulthera was very unique. It was the first use of highly focused ultrasound in the aesthetic industry, and there was a lot of excitement about a lot of people. We do have Ulthera, but there were a lot of issues with pain. It was a very, very painful treatment. I mean, we would have to give pain meds, numbing cream, and even then people were saying, oh my God. And then you had a lot of little numbing afterwards, and that all went away. The thing is it worked pretty well, but it was tough, and it's a very expensive treatment because the cost of the device, and there's a consumable that the company charges that's very expensive. Now, to Ulthera's credit, they've really refined the protocol, and the newer protocol is much less painful. We don't ever use pain meds anymore. We use some topical, and then we have a device called Pronox, which is a nitrous oxide device, which really works. And most people now are saying, that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I do think, even though it is a little bit more on the expensive side, for results on the neck, the jawline, forehead, I think it's one of the best things out there.
Yeah, I think it does an amazing job for that. And I think like almost every technology that comes out to that point, they evolve and change.
Yes.
Whether the technology gets better, maybe the manufacturer improves it, or it's in enough hands, like enough clinics like Aesthetic Hair, to where we've done enough treatments that we help evolve and change the protocol. And I think that's, again...
Or it can fail.
Right, or it can fail and go away. But I think that's another reason why, at Aesthetic Hair, we really look for outside training. We call, hey, L-Therapy, who's the best at L-Therapy in the United States? And you're so good at that. You'll call that clinic. You'll ask them questions. You'll pay for one of their people to come to Aesthetic Hair and to train our team here in Kansas City, just to make sure that we're giving the best old therapy treatment that we can. And that is huge. That makes all the difference in the treatment.
Well, if somebody is the best in the country, why not learn from them?
And
so we do that. But so Ulthera basically is a device. A handpiece goes on your skin, and while the nurse is doing the treatment, she's looking at a ultrasound diagram of your skin and can see exactly where that energy is being placed. So it's a very, very precise treatment. And now Ulthera is kind of, because most of the time it is just one. Every once in a while we might recommend two, but it's one treatment, and then you're going to see results starting fairly soon and really maximizing at 6 months. And we have seen some really nice results for that. And
so do they last forever?
It's a good question. We get that. If we could stop the aging process, we'd be trillionaires, and we'd own an island.
And I would look so young.
You already look young. But no, it's going to maximize at 6 months, but then you are going to age. Your normal aging, obviously there's things you can do that we can help that. So Ulthera is something depending on your age. Maybe you do it once every 2 or 3 years, have a treatment, because we are going to age. But it is, we can do Ulthera on the face, we can do it on the neck. It's FDA approved for the décolleté area. If you get kind of crepiness and sagging there, we can actually do it on the knees, on the abdomen. So that is one option that is a very good option.
Another option that I love is Skin Tight.
Yes.
And so Skin Tight's different. It's near infrared, meaning it's wavelengths that are, they're in the electromagnetic spectrum. They're wavelengths that get delivered deeper in the skin, heating up the skin and causing a thermal injury or a thermal reaction in the skin. And so when you do that, again, fibroblast cells that are responsible for producing collagen and elastin go into kind of retirement in their 30s, and when we're in our 30s. But they don't forget how to do their job. And so if you can use a technology to wake them up and get them to work again, you'll start to see some nice improvements in skin tone and skin tightening. And so Skin Tight, instead of it being one treatment, it's done over a series of 4 to 6 treatments. And so why is it not just 4? Why is it not just 6? Well, we're different ages. We have different laxity issues.
She's older than I am. Yeah.
We heal differently, so everyone's different, and depending on what part of the body you're doing it on, because it's not just for the face and neck, but to your point, can be done décolleté, the arms, post baby bellies, the bum, above the knees, so depending on how much laxity you have, that will also determine how many treatments that you need.
Right.
And so Skin Tight, you come in, there's no numbing cream involved. We apply ultrasound gel. The handpiece just kind of glides over the skin like this. There's a pretty bright light, but your eyes are covered, and our eyes are protected as well. And we just heat up the area. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10's extreme heat and pain, 5's moderate, it never should be painful. And the handpiece just glides over the skin, slowly heating up to kind of like a hot stone massage type of feeling. And then we're looking to get the skin temp to 41, 42, 43 degrees Celsius. And then we know that clinically, we're going to see a change and improvement in the skin.
Right.
And so the treatment takes about 30 minutes. You could do, again, anywhere on your body, about 30 minutes. You come in 4 to 6 times, twice a month. And
that's an option that's more affordable. And again, Ulthera and Skin Tight, the same thing. That I think the thing that we're seeing is people are looking for no downtime, and obviously looking for results, and we get pretty good predictable results off this. And again, it's all about depositing energy into the tissue. So Ulthera is ultrasound, Skin Tight is light energy, and then we've got Excelus, the Excelus Ultra, which combines radio frequency and ultrasound together. Yeah. And I will tell you that may be overall maybe my favorite as far as what we've seen, because again, like Skin Tight too, very little discomfort, affordable, but combining 2 technologies It used to just be radio frequency. Now they've added ultrasound. We're really seeing some nice things from Exilus. And obviously you've had Exilus done and you like it.
Yeah, I love Exilus. I think too, there's no bright light, which honestly is not that big of a deal with skin tight. But with Exilus, you don't have to wear eyewear. We don't have to wear eyewear when we're doing the treatment. Just those little differences, I think, make overall a big difference. Skin tight, we actually include with every single Forever Young BBL treatment, or most of them. Sometimes there are certain skin conditions that we can't use it on, but for the most part, if you've had Forever Young BBL, you've already experienced it.
Skin tight right here on the jawline, yeah.
And so it's just, we can take that treatment and expand it and use it in different areas. So Exilus, again, it's really easy to have the treatment. It's comfortable, and it's something that you would go through that corrective stage and then do maybe a couple times a year, and just to kind of keep that skin working, keep the fibroblast cells producing collagen, elastin, and just to overall keep your skin looking great instead of waiting until it gets bad to come back in again, I think.
Well, and the nice thing is with all of these, especially these no downtime treatments, combination therapies. So on an abdomen, let's say a woman has had babies and has some laxity, we can do an Exilus with microneedling RF and combine and kind of get the best of all those worlds. There's something new that's come out that we're pretty excited about. I'm going to hold it up. It is called, if you can see, Plasma Pen. And this literally is a pen that plugs into the wall. And if you can see this is a tiny, tiny, tiny little, it looks like a needle, but the needle never touches the skin. Basically, it creates a plasma energy field. I just had this done last week on my eyes and my forehead. I'm still healing a little bit. And we get very close to the skin. When it gets close to the skin, it ignites this plasma energy field, and you see almost a little glow, and it leaves a dot. And when you're done, you look like you have a henna tattoo.
Yeah, you see a very specific pattern.
Dot, yes. And if you saw last week, you could see my dots. Now they've fallen off. I have a little bit of redness still, but you can't see too much. And had a little bit of swelling. I mean, there is a little bit of downtime with Plasma Pen. But I tell you, we're excited for the neck and eyes. It may turn out to be one of the better devices we have for tissue tightening.
I am more excited about this treatment than I've been in treatments for a long time. I think because skin tightening overall has been a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is like multiple treatments over multiple weeks, and I think if you're like me, it's like the faster, the instant gratification is just better,
Yeah.
And so I think that Plasma Pen is going to give us a little bit more of that instant gratification. But again, we know that just like the other treatments, it's really 3 months, 90 days out before you'll see the
best results.
Yeah.
And it could be maximized at 6 months.
Especially because you're a little older.
Yeah, I'm just 6 months older about. The Plasma Pen, there is a little discomfort to it. That's why we use a numbing cream. And with the numbing cream and Pronox, most people are fine. And everyone feels things differently. I mean, even in Kathy and I, we treat each other's neck. And I would say it was 3 or 4. Now you felt it a little more, but you felt it more under your eye. But we were just playing with this. It was before we launched it. And I think we've developed a protocol that is much more comfortable.
Oh yeah.
Using the lidocaine or the lidocaine with the epi and
also
Pronox. So most people don't have a hard time with the discomfort. You're going to look a little funny for 5 to 7 days, but boy, the early results we're seeing from that are really good. And we've kept in close contact with a couple clinics, one in Arizona, one in St. Louis, who do a lot of these. And in looking at their pictures, we're excited. This is going to be a neat new addition for aesthetic care.
My sister just jumped on from Wyoming.
Oh my gosh, Brianne. I mean, Brianne is whatever. She's like 22 years old. She doesn't do any of this stuff. But tissue, the thing when we look as clinic owners and we look at different devices, we think about, okay, what are our clients asking for? And what we're seeing is sun damage. It's a huge one. And laxity in the skin.
Yeah.
Just sagging. As we age, we lose... we usually wrinkle first under eyes because the thickest skin on your body is the soles of your feet. That can be 3 millimeters thick. The skin on your face is anywhere from 1, could be up to 2, depending on male, female. But underneath your eyes and your eyelids is the thinnest skin on your body, about 400 microns, so less than a half of a millimeter. And because it's an area of high movement, we're going to wrinkle first there.
Right. Thin skin, and especially the more you smile, the more dynamic
Squint
you are.
And stuff like that. So this has always been an area that people, they don't like the crepiness, they don't like the dark circles. And a lot of times the circles are shadowing because we lose tissue volume, and that might be a good place for some dermal filler.
Right.
But that's where I really think we're going to do a lot of underlids above the eye. And by doing the forehead and getting a lift, a lot of times we can lift that, get a natural lift, because as we age, our brows drop down.
So just some of the questions that we've got. So we've talked about skin tight, we talked about Exless, plasma pin, old therapy. I mean, one of the questions seems a little complicated. You know, I mean, like there's all these treatments to choose from. You know, what's going to be the best?
Well, it's a good question because sometimes, you know, I think we almost have too many solutions for one issue. But the thing that I'm most proud of, our 11 providers are so thoroughly trained that when you come in and we do your skin analysis with our Viscia, which is does a three-dimensional topography of your skin, looks underneath your skin. We can set at different angles. And we look at how the condition your skin is in, the age that you are, and your goals. We usually know which one of these is going to be best, or maybe a combination of two of them.
Almost always, usually a combination.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to develop a plan that we truly believe is going to be best for you, but we're always going to prove it with photography because we don't want to hope that this works. We want to show you without a doubt that it works. And that being said, listen, everybody is different. If we give 10 human beings the exact same treatment, we will always get 10 different results. And so that means there might be somebody who I have no idea why they didn't get a result. We are not going to say, oh, sorry, you tried, it didn't work for you. We will find a method that will work because Kathy may get a better result from skin tight and I may get a better result from Exless. But, you know, a well-trained aesthetic expert like we have here at Aesthetic Hair with the skin analysis we do is going to put together a plan. And hey, we're not perfect, but most of the time we're right.
Yeah.
In that area, most of the time we put together a very successful plan.
Right. I think one of the other questions that we've gotten, or I know, is that what do you do for skin on the belly after baby?
I just think an underused treatment is Scotch tape. And you take Scotch tape and you just lift that up and then you just replace it as good.
Clearly he doesn't have to go through this, ladies.
Well, why don't you answer that question
since
you have had a baby?
I mean, it's happens to us all. It doesn't matter how small you were, how big you get, if it's one baby or two. I mean, you know, the skin is not the same afterwards. And, you know, obviously if you're younger, if you're 20 and you have a baby versus 40, which is what I was when I had Jax, you know, I mean, the skin bounces back a little bit faster when you're 20 than it does 40. So, you know, again, everybody's going to be a little different there, but there are a lot of options for the belly post-baby. So number one, again, we would have you come in and assess because we want to make sure that you're a candidate, period. You know, some women that maybe they had twins or triplets, they probably need a tummy tuck. And we certainly... Or
4 or 5 babies.
Right,
big babies,
right. So we want to make sure that you're a candidate for the treatments that we offer. We're not going to tell you, oh yes, do a series of Exless and you're going to get this amazing results. And we would know that you wouldn't if that. So we would never want to sell you something that's not going to work for you. But there are a number of great treatments. So number one, if it's post-baby and, you know, there's a little bit of fat, maybe we could include cool sculpting. And I saw Chrissy posted something. She's one of our estheticians. You know, she mentioned cool sculpting just a couple minutes ago. And so that is something that we could do. It wouldn't be for skin laxing necessarily, but for the volume. The other option that we would have post-baby, again, not for skin tightening, would be M-Sculpt for muscle building. So we can get rid of a little bit of fat, build a little bit of muscle. And then once you have better kind of foundation underneath, then look at what's the best option for skin tightening. And I would think that on the abdomen, you know, the best options are going to be a combination therapy. I love Exless on the abdomen. I think it works great on the abdomen. Jessica, who's been doing Exless since it launched, but yeah, I mean, she's really she's trained clinics all over the country. She does an absolutely amazing job with Exless on the body. And then also doing something like Intercell. So combination of Exless with Intercell is amazing.
The microneedling RF.
And so you mentioned microneedling RF earlier, but you didn't explain, you didn't talk about Intercell. We've talked about it earlier, but not today. So maybe just explain a little bit about Intercell.
Well, we did last week. I think we did a session on microneedling RF. But for those of you who weren't there, it's tiny microneedles that go into the skin, and then Intercell deposits radiofrequency energy at the depth of our choosing. You not only get the benefit of that energy, you also get the physical trauma to the skin that your body responds to by producing more collagen. And you had mentioned about, you know, collagen, the fibroblast cells kind of going to sleep. And I think a lot of people, you know, it's funny because I was talking to, years ago, I was in a talk with Roy Geronimus, who's one of the top derms in the country. I think he's the president of the American Academy of Dermatology. And he was talking about skin. He said, listen, the more we know about skin, late teens to early 20s, your collagen production starts going south. And this is true, you guys. Gravity is yanking on us every day. And eventually, it just starts to win. And so if we can get your own body your body to produce more of its own natural collagen and elastin, it's just going to look better. And that's what all these devices are designed to do. And it's kind of like you said, we're going to wake up those fibroblast cells, and they're going to say, hey, something happened. I'm going to produce more collagen. But it's not a light switch. It's just like, oh, I had the treatment, boom, my collagen production just went up.
Right.
It happens over time.
Right. And we had a comment earlier about, scarring on the abdomen post-baby, stretch mark scarring. And scarring's really unique, and there's just so many ways to treat it, and we have all the technologies to do that. And so just to kind of simplify it for you guys, no matter what the scar is caused from, but that's number one, where is the
Stretch
scar
mark,
and what is it
scar,
caused
yes.
from? And then we look at a few things. What color is in the scar? Do you see redness in the scar? Then we would actually use BBL on the treatment to treat the redness in the scar. And that you start to see improvement within
Very
24
quickly.
to 48 hours. So fast.
And then is it a raised scar or is it a recessed scar?
Raised or recessed. What does it, how big is it? Where is it on the body? So
how old is the scar?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we use a combination of therapies to treat scars. So redness, again, we would use BBL. Brown is generally hemosiderin staining, where you can kind of think about just blood is trapped underneath. And Halo actually does a really good job of creating channels for that to be able to escape. So we can treat the redness in the scar, we can treat the brown in the scar. And then to your point, is it raised or is it depressed?
Right.
And we would use treatments like intracell for tightening, which you just talked about, or profractional.
Yeah.
Which profractional is an ablative device that creates little channels, literally heats up water to 100 degrees Celsius in tissue, just like when you put a pot of water on the stove, you heat it up to 100 degrees, it starts to boil, it's gone out of the pot.
Vaporizes.
Yeah, and so with this, it vaporizes the skin, and so it forces the body to make new skin. So you remove some of that scar tissue, you get healthier skin,
Right.
you get a change to happen. And so there's a lot of things that we can do for scarring on the body, and I just jumped into that because I saw that comment.
No, but and that kind of goes back to the point of training. So our goal, whatever we do here at Aesthetic Care, is to learn from the best. So a few years ago, Jill Weibel, who owns Miami Dermatology, who's considered the worldwide leading expert on scar revisions. She's worked at the White House. She does amazing work with the Wounded Warrior. She's been on Good Morning America. She's won all these international awards. We flew her to Kansas City, and we had her to do an 8-hour scar training for us. And think about everybody who has scars. I mean, you got dog bite scars, you got injury scars, you got burn scars, you got
Breast
surgical
dog,
scars,
tummy tucks.
yeah, all that. And so we can
C-section.
you don't have to live with scars, and we have some great treatments. And a lot of those treatments have synergy with tissue tightening treatments as well. Stretch marks are a big one because most women who have maybe put on weight and lost weight, men too, had babies. Stretch marks, like you said, they could be red, they could be hypopigmented, and a stretch mark's never going to be gone. But man, we can certainly make them look better.
Those are tough. Stretch marks are tough. The quicker you get them treated, the better the result will be. So if you had a baby last year, they're probably going to respond a little bit better or faster than if you had the baby 20 years ago, type of thing. But, we see a lot of teenagers that get stretch marks. They hit puberty and they get stretch marks.
Yeah.
It's not just babies and adult women. A lot of teenage girls get stretch marks. So,
growth from weight change, things like
Right.
that. But I think the main thing and what you said earlier is, if you go on the internet and you research there's so many treatments out there, and believe me, no manufacturer of a device or treatment is going to ever tell you it's anything other than the best treatment there is.
Yeah.
Nobody comes to sell us the second best treatment. They're all the best. And so what we have to do is a lot of research, talk to some thought leaders that we really trust, and then we always bring it in, we try it. And we treat, normally when we bring in a technology, we treat all the staff. We treat friends and family, and obviously we're getting feedback on how does it feel, how does it work before we say, okay, now we're ready to offer this to our clients. Because, unfortunately, and we've been in this industry long enough, there is a lot of snake oil out there. I really think about 60% of everything in non-surgical aesthetics is
Right.
the marketing is far better than the science.
Right, which is why we do all of our research.
Yes. Yeah. So we've talked a lot about tissue tightening, a little bit of scars, and
there's one more thing with tissue tightening, because when we were posting that we were going to do this live event, we used some of our before and after photos, and so the question just was like, what was the treatment that was used for that before and after photo? And so I'll kind of show you here if you haven't seen, but so the first photo before and after of the eyes, we used Exless. The second photo of the jawline, was Ultherapy, and then the third photo of the belly was Skin Tight. So it's a mixture of treatments just to give you an idea of different technology and the results that you can get. So,
and if you go on our website, there's a lot of before and after photos on that. And again, everyone's different, but we want to be very thorough with photography so you can actually see. It's human nature. We all look at ourselves multiple times a day. And if you have some laxity here and you have some treatments, you're looking every day, multiple times, morning, day, night. And so you used the analogy last week of, watching the grass grow. If we all went and looked, sat in the lawn all day long and came back and I said, hey, did you see it grow? You'd say no, but it did grow. It just grew so slowly. So photography is very important. Yeah. So a few other things to get to. We do want to, we have two of our estheticians, Chrissy and Jennifer, created the quarantine at-home facial. And if you go on our website, Chrissy has a wonderful video, step-by-step instructions. We can get this mailed directly to your house, and it's enough to give you 4 different facials during our downtime here. We're all kind of locked up, and that's gone over so well.
Yeah, she's such a star. Good job,
she's
Chrissy.
Awesome. And then we also have a wonderful medical-grade product line designed, for aesthetic care. And if you go online, they will ship it directly to your house, drop ship directly from the manufacturer, and they are all 20% off.
And so what's the difference in a medical grade skincare versus
it's a good question, because if you walk into Target, I bet you there's 500 skincare products in Target and Walmart, Sephora. And if you look, you could go see a big tub of, this is vitamin C enriched face cream. Over-the-counter products have never been tested and approved by the FDA. They don't have to be, okay? So they can say whatever they want. A medical-grade product can only be sold through a physician-based facility. It is based on real independent review board clinical testing, higher levels of active ingredients. So we don't say, God, I hope it works. We know it's going to work. And again, we follow with photography. So they're just going to be much more potent, much more effective products than anything you could buy at Sephora, Macy's, Nordstrom. I mean, it's really amazing, the marketing. And there's a good story that I like to tell, and just about packaging. And if you look at the history of Godiva chocolate, they really wanted to compete with Hershey. That's their goal, and they came out. But Hershey's a monster. They couldn't do it. So they had a great marketing company said, no, what we're going to do is we're going to package this better. We're going to make this the very expensive cotton deal that you buy for an anniversary or something, and look at how well Godiva's done. It's a lot of marketing. And a lot of times when you go out and buy a product at Nordstrom that's $250, the packaging is elaborate. I mean, glass and crystal and stuff, but the science is nothing. And so it's just the opposite with medical grade products, where the packaging, sometimes it's fine, but the money is in the product, and it's just better for your skin.
Right. All right. I want to say
we wanted an awkward silence there. We're just going to stare at you for a little while.
Well, I just wanted to say, I don't know if you've got anything else you wanted to say, but thank you for being our clients. Thank you for supporting these live videos and supporting our amazing team, our estheticians, our nurses, our management team. We just really appreciate our aesthetic care clients. So love goes out to you and your family.
Yeah, and we were talking with our daughter the other night, and for her, it's hard. I mean, it's her senior year of high school. She's missing her prom. She's missing graduation, tough times. And we certainly understand there's a lot of people out there. But like Kathy said, we are able to quarantine. I mean, we're work, but we're by ourselves, and be safe. And man, the people out there working at grocery stores, working at gas stations, working in the ER, doing these things where they have to just be out there. God, they're heroes. I mean, they're really heroes. And so for us to show appreciation, I was watching this online sermon from Church of the Resurrection, and a lot of people can't say no, Adam Hamilton. And it was amazing. They got 250 members of their church to drive to a hospital, and I think multiple hospitals, and be there during shift changes. And when the workers came out, they all had signs, honked, just to show appreciation. It was pretty amazing. And they were donating all this money to homeless shelters. So a lot of times a crisis brings out the best in people. Yeah. And like I said, if you can go on our website and nominate a frontline responder, we're going to do our best to honor them as well.
Please keep doing that. Yeah. Please keep doing that.
It's really fun. But be safe out there. We're going to come back on Friday, and we're going to really focus on the sun on Friday, how the sun damages your skin, how you can protect it from the skin, and maybe throw in, obviously, once you have that sun damage, some things you can do. But it'll be interesting. We'll go into some of the science of a chemical sunblock versus a physical block, and there's a lot of different stuff out there.
I mean, it's the most important thing you can do for your skin. It's the least expensive thing.
So that's Friday. Hopefully you'll join us. But until then, be safe. Look for the silver lining in things. And we do, to our staff, we miss you. Our clients, we miss you. We can't wait to get back to some normalcy. And when we do, we're going to be better. We're going to be stronger.
See you soon.
See ya.